What is happening, Bairns? Welcome to In the KM at One South Standard's point of view on all things navy blue. As always, I am your host Ray. In today's video we will be reacting, discussing and breaking down our most recent game, which saw us go to New Douglas Park and give Accies another scudding, where we picked up the 3 points away up the road and we won that game 3-1. Something else I just want to talk about as well before we get into things proper today. A couple of things that I wanted to just clear up as well. As I'm sure my subscribers are already aware, I didn't upload a reaction video for the Livy game, and I also didn't do any pre-match stuff for this game either, or sorry, for the game against Partick Thistle as well. Couple of things I just want to cover off there was I've been feeling a wee bit under the weather over the last week or so, and there actually was a couple of times where I sat down at the computer, I brought open my documents, and I was going to start cracking on with the video, but then I just wasn't feeling up to it, and I'm not going to churn out a video that's no up to my kind of standards. I'm not going to ask you to sit and watch something that I'm going to half-arse and I'm not going to put any effort into. That's not really my style. If I'm not going to put 100% into it, then I'm just not going to do it. The other thing as well was that just in terms of my mindset over the last week or so, I've been struggling a wee bit, and I'm always honest with you on here. You've getting that by now, that I'm always going to be honest, and I think that even at this early stage, I was starting to get really obsessed with the numbers and looking at the viewer counts and subscriber counts, and somebody stops subscribing and you have this mini freak out over it, and you're obsessing over the numbers and why is this video doing less than the last one, and it just gets to a point where you start obsessing over the numbers more than actually just enjoying what you're doing. So I feel like taking a pause for things has really helped as well, and maybe refocused and made me realise that, you know what, like making videos and talking about a football team that you love is really fun. When you start obsessing about the numbers and that's where it stops being fun. And going forward, I'm not interested in the numbers. Obviously I still want the videos to do well in that, and I want to get as many subscribers as possible, and eventually get to, you know, like I said before, the 1,876 subscribers. I'd love to hit those kind of numbers, but I know it's not going to be an overnight process. I can't be sitting here and comparing myself to guys like Ross and John that have been doing this. I mean, what was that, the 100th episode a couple of weeks ago? They've been doing this for about 2 years, just a bit over that actually. I can't sit here and compare what those guys are doing, the amount of graft and hard work they've put into it. I'm right at the very beginning, and I just need to not put so much pressure on myself. Something else as well before I get into things was just that I've had a few people ask, well, when's the next video going up and that, and it does mean a lot. I genuinely, I still at this point don't understand why people even bother watching. I think that, you know, who wants to listen to me talk shite about football for 15-20 minutes twice a week? Blows my mind. But there you go. So into today's video. In terms of, since I never done a pre-match video, I just wanted to give a wee bit of background, like in terms of what my feelings were heading into that game on Friday night. So I feel silly admitting this now, right? But I was actually a wee bit nervous going into this game. It just felt like, you know, sometimes you just kind of get a vibe before it. You know, the amount of times we'd went there and we'd already beaten them, and the fact that we had 3 home games up after this against, if we're being kind, lower teams in the league. Now, I'm not going to get caught out saying anything that comes back to bite me on the arse here, but against, like, we've already played Partick Thistle, and we've played Livingston and Ayr. We're talking about Dunfermline, Airdrie and Morton. I don't, that's not in the right order, but whatever. But it felt like to me, if we could go into this game against Accies and get the 3 points, we would put ourselves on a tremendous platform to really kick on and cement ourselves and quite possibly open up a wee bit of a gap. We've got 3 home games now where we've I don't want to be putting too much pressure on the team. You might feel different on this, so if you do, please let me know in the comments. But is it putting too much pressure on the team to be saying that we should be looking at these next 3 home games and saying, I want 9 points for that? I don't feel as if it is. We've already beaten all 3 of these teams away from home. Why can we not go into our home games at our own turf, at our own patch, and say we should be getting 9 points? We've got to be confident going into these, and it's not about arrogance or that. No, nothing like that. It's about being confident. We are the best footballing team in this league. Why can't we go into any game against any opposition at home in this league and say we should be looking at getting 3 points? Which is why, and again, I made no bearing on why I never made a video about it, but with Livingston as well, it was frustrating that we didn't win that game, because I feel like we probably should have. And then with Partick Thistle as well, we really should have won that game. And it's interesting some of the criticisms, if you like, that tied over from that game and go into this game as well, because I thought in that first 45 minutes, I thought we were electric. I thought that we were ruthless. We showed attitude, we showed ruthless aggression, we showed everything that you want in a 45 minutes of football. And I know John McGlynn said, no, we let them get a bit of a foothold at points in the first half. I think he's been a wee bit harsh there. I think that we were excellent. We were right out the traps early doors, and we got after them and got a goal really early and really settled things down. So in terms of how we went into the game, just before I get into things proper, like, no changes from the game against Partick Thistle, which it's not really surprising at this point. John McGlynn's got a settled 11 that he likes to stick to, and it's no surprise that he picked the exact same 11. I like that. There's some managers out there that want to tinker just for the sake of it, changing formations for game to game and moving folk around. But generally, what that always looks like to me is a manager that doesn't know his best system, and doesn't know his best personnel in that system. McGlynn knows the system he wants to play, and he knows the players that can play in it. Granted, some of these players that are playing at the moment are possibly there out of necessity rather than choice, but in terms of how these guys are playing, the folk that are out injured now, you're not telling me they're walking straight back into the team, because I didn't buy it. Like, the discussion about Hendo and Graham, what happens when Cole and Lang are back, at this stage, when they come back, they're sitting on the bench, because you can't take Hendo out of that team, and you're not putting him back into midfield, because you can't take Spencer or Tate out of the team either. My argument possibly was Hendo going back into midfield and then putting Tate into the number 10 role, but you can't take Nesbitt out of the team either. He's really come back and reminded everybody just how much we actually missed him, how much we missed his engine, his drive. The guy will run for, I was going to say he'll run for 90 minutes, he'd probably run for about 180 minutes. That's how much of an engine he's got. He does not stop. So, back to what I was saying. So, no changes going into the game. It's live on the telly. It's on BBC Scotland. I personally, I didn't go to this game. I watched it on the telly. Again, I still wasn't feeling quite right, and I was still in the mindset of, do you know what? Accies were trying to charge £26 for this game at the start of the season. Go fuck yourselves. I'm not paying that. But then it turns out that they had reduced their prices. I think it was down to £20, which is reasonable for this league. I just wish they'd done it in the first place and not left that sour taste in the mouth. Get what I mean? It just feels like it's you're only doing that now because you're going to lose out, and it still felt a bit too little too late. I mean, I know there was still, 900 odd of us that still showed up, which is still a really good support, but again, with it being on the telly and maybe the weather playing its part as well, I just think that they went about things in the wrong way. They tried to fleece away supporters at the start of the season because they know they've not got much support themselves, and it's just, when you start putting pounds before people, I hate to use cheesy phrases like that, but that's just kind of what it smacked of. And Anyway, I don't want to get into a big rant about Aki's and the shambolic ticket prices, especially because we play Livy away from him not that long for now, and I'll be pre-packaging that rant and just keeping it for then anyway, because it's the same shenanigans there, the amount they're charging. Anyway, so as I alluded to a wee bit there, we make a really fast start in this game, which is good to see. And we the ball's in the back of the net after 4 minutes, and it comes down the right hand side. Good bit of play with Miller, creates a bit of space for Nizzy, who whips the ball in, and it's just one of the balls into the box where you want to get a defender facing his own goal, because just anything can happen, and he's got a bit of pressure at the back post by Brad Spencer, and he ends up turning the ball into his own net. 4 minutes in, 1-0 up. Happy days. That's what you want. You want to get a fast early start. You want to kill any momentum that the home team is going to try and have, because what we're probably going to start finding more and more, and what we've already noticed against the likes of Partick Thistle and Livy as well, is that the more we keep winning, the more we keep putting points on the board, the more you're going to notice teams starting to sit in and no come out because they don't want to get battered by us. Now, that battering's coming, and I certainly hope it's against Dunfermline this weekend, but I feel like a team that tries to go toe to toe with us in this league and play the way that we do, we would annihilate them, and that's kind of what ended up happening in this first half. Not necessarily that Hamilton tried to go toe to toe and play expansive football or whatever, but they did get a bit of a doing in this first half. So not too long after that, it goes 2-0, and Calvin Miller does what he's not really been doing enough of up until now. And I'm a big Calvin Miller fan myself, so I'm absolutely buzzing for him that he's managed to. I don't want to necessarily say that he had a monkey on his back a wee bit, but other than the free kick against Steny, I felt like, and again, you might disagree, so please do tell me if you think I'm talking out my arse here, but I feel like there was quite a lot of chances over the last sort of couple of months or so where Miller's maybe fluffed his lines, he's hit a weak shot, the keeper's making saves. You know, I said a few videos ago that he was really unlucky in front of goal, but it gets to a point where when you keep missing more and more chances, you start getting into your own head a wee bit, and you start overthinking things, and you start snatching at shots, and you're no confident. You've just got to converse the way Miller is in front and goal with the way Ethan Ross is. It just feels like every time Ross hits a shot, it's either gone in or nearly gone in. Like, if he was to break through on goal the way he did against Partick Thistle, like I think it was I think Ross Wayne said this and summed it up perfectly. The second that Nizzy put the ball over the top for Ethan Ross against Partick Thistle, you knew he was going to score it. You knew he wasn't going to miss it, and that sort of side of things has maybe been missing a wee bit for Calvin Miller's game. So absolutely delighted when he cuts in and gets onto his stronger left foot and hits the shot, which takes a wicked deflection off of, I think it's Longridge, and the keeper. I mean, the commentators and the analysis and that at half time and full time were giving the keeper a lot of pelters for this, but I think as well with the conditions, the deflection as well, he's probably reacting to it quite late, and he probably can do better with it, to be fair, but it's, who gives a fuck? We're not here to talk about Aki's, we're talking about a Falkirk perspective. Couldn't care less. It's 2-0, happy days, and then not too long after that, we get ourselves a penalty, and it's a case of Dylan Tate burning Longridge this time, who was already on a yellow because he was getting absolutely roasted by Calvin Miller all of that first half, and I don't know what he's playing at here. So Tate's gone to the byline here. I don't even think he's getting this ball, and what does Longridge do? He just full on shoves him in the back, and we're not talking like one of these we love tap like that, and the player goes flying. Like, don't get me wrong, Tate does still make a meal of it because it's Dylan Tate, and that's what Dylan Tate does. But it's a full on push, and it's the easiest penalty you will ever see given in football over that whole weekend. And then the referee doesn't give Longridge a second booking, which I thought was strange because, again, I'm the ref, but I'm pretty sure if you're not making an attempt to play the ball and it's as blatant as that, is that no a yellow card? And it's obvious that Rankin must have thought the same because he hooked him at half time. I don't mean he pure on like laid one on him. I mean he took him off. Maybe he done that too. I don't know. But he full on shove in the back. It's a penalty. Brad steps up to take it. Felt confident he was going to score it, and then when he hits it, the keeper makes a half decent save. But unfortunately for him, he puts it straight back into Spencer's path. 3-0. Nice wee cheeky 1-2 with the goalkeeper there, and it's you're thinking it's game over at that point. Like we've seen Falkirk over the last year chuck a 2-goal lead a couple of times that didn't think that we were going to be in any danger, to be honest. In fact, we really could have extended our lead. The Ethan Ross, we had an absolutely magical bit of play here where he gets the ball in the left wing and the defenders are doubling up on him here, and he manages to just sneak through the two of them. Don't know how he managed to find space here, but he does, and he cuts in and he curls a shot, and it's inches wide, and he's so unlucky to not make it 4-0 there. And then not too long after that, more great play. I think it's Ross again, where he gets into the box and cuts the ball back for I can't remember if it was Nisbet or Oliver, and the side footed shot is gone in. It's goal bound and it's cleared off of the line, and you're just like. And here's the thing, that this is where I mentioned about the Partick Thistle thing and the Livy thing, where it's frustrating because we're creating so many chances and we're just struggling to put them away, and yet we're actually frustrated about no scoring chances when we're 3-0 up. Now, that's where we want to be. If we're going to start missing chances, I don't mind doing that at all when we're 3-0 up. It's when we're missing chances when it's 0-0 or when it's 1-0 or there's just one goal in it where it can be absolutely pivotal. Now, we probably should have scored at least one of those other two chances. I think that 4-0 at half time would have been a fair reflection on how the game was going. Aki's got absolutely blown away in the first half. So, half time comes and my missus says to me, "Oh, do you know what, that this could end up being any score tonight?" And I turned to her and I said, "Nah, that's not what will happen. I've watched enough football, I've played enough Football Manager, I know how this is going to go. Either it's going to stay 3-0 or we're going to have a fight back on our hands where they'll get some scrappy goal and we'll be trying to, it'll be about game management at that point." So, didn't surprise me at all how the second half panned out. Within 2 minutes of the restart, we concede a goal which, it's not very good defending. We lose the ball unnecessarily in the middle, to be fair, so it's not like it's a defensive mistake right there. But as Aki's bring the ball forward, I think Luke Graham bites here. I don't think he needs to. There's still enough time where he's maybe coming about 25 yards out or so. It's not like it's right on the box or anything. There's still enough time for the likes of Tate or Spencer to try and come back and put a bit more pressure on the boy. He doesn't need to rush out like this, but he's still a young boy, and I'm sure he'll be getting coached on things like this, and Hendo and Cole and McGlynn will all be explaining to him that you've got to keep your defensive discipline. You can't just rush out and bite like that. So he bites and he doesn't get the ball, and the ball's played in, and it leaves Adams really exposed, and he's no set. He gets kind of turned inside out like an old jumper, and then they get a shot. Nicky Hogarth makes a half decent save, but unfortunately puts it right into the I think it's Anderson's path who puts it away for 3-1. It's a bit sloppy on the defensive side of things, but I'm not going to be too critical because the guys up top done their job, put us into a really, really commanding position, and then that's what it's like at this level. You make a mistake, you're almost certainly going to be punished for it, and it's just about game management and no letting the heats go down. And here's the thing, we're no going to absolutely smoke teams at this level unless they are absolutely dire. I genuinely don't think that we'll be annihilating anybody other than Dunfermline or Airdrie, and I'm not just saying that because again we didn't like either of these teams, but I think they have probably been the two poorest teams that we've played in the league, and it's no surprise that that's reflected in the league as well. So you take your foot off the gas against any team in this league, regardless of what the scoreline is, they'll still be able to hurt you. And this Hamilton Accies team isn't the same team that we scudded up and down the place last season. It's a team that they've got a decent amount of quality. They've signed a lot of players in that, like Ollie Shaw, for example. I wouldn't mind taking him, by the way. So when we go into this command and lead, I think we do maybe take our foot off the gas a wee bit. I'm not necessarily too bothered about that, to be honest, because with the amount of injuries we've got, do we really want to be overexerting and causing any unnecessary injuries to the folk that are still playing? No, of course no. Of course we don't want to be doing anything like that. So it's 3-1, and we're still in a good position at this point. I wasn't necessarily watching behind my couch or anything like that at 3-1, but they do start getting a bit more pressure, and they get a chance where Hogarth makes a point blank save. It's, if you have not seen it, go back and watch it. It's an absolutely brilliant save. These are the kind of saves that I absolutely love. Speaking as I used to always play in goal myself, I absolutely love the point blank reaction saves. No, the 30 yards, for the camera ones. I mean the ones where it's just like throwing an arm out like that when it's about 2 yards away for you. That's the sort of thing I love. Keeper coming out like a big Patrick Star and trying to just smother it any way they can. Love those kind of saves. So we survived that, and I think that really could have been 3-2 at that point. And if I think that if it went to 3-2, we would have absolutely had a game on. Now, the narrative I don't necessarily buy is that, oh well, if they'd made it 3-2 then it would have been 3-3. Nah, I don't think so. I think that if it did go to 3-2, it would wake us up and we would go back to dominating the way that we did, and we would kick things back into gear and we would find another goal and kill it off. But the players themselves knew at 3-1, we're alright. We're no in any real danger, and maybe that's, I don't want to say complacency, but it's still just about knowing that we're alright. So anyway, the ball goes out for a corner, the ball's whipped in, and Hogarth makes another save, and this was a pretty good save as well, and we managed to keep it at 3-1, and really that was really Hamilton's biggest spell of the second half, where if they were going to properly get back into this and make this game nervy, they needed to score in that period of play. But we managed to calm things down a wee bit, and we managed to survive it. We still had a couple of chances in the second half, but it wasn't anything quite like the first half. There was a penalty shout as well. Ethan Ross gets into a tangle with one of the Accies players, and the ref, he bizarrely gives them a free kick. Now, I'm not exactly saying that's a stonewall penalty or anything, but where is the foul? Like, if anything, it should be nothing. It should just be a right wave play on. Where did Ethan Ross foul the boy? I have no idea. In terms of other chances, Gary Oliver nearly scores from a header from a corner, whipped in by Calvin Miller, gets a flick on header like that, and it hits off the crossbar towards the back post. He's so unlucky. I just absolutely loved for him to have scored that, because there's a lot of mumbling and grumbling and groaning about Gary Oliver and how he's been up top, and I would love to just see him get a goal and just get a wee bit of confidence back. Like we've got to appreciate that Gary Oliver isn't a striker, and he's doing a job now, but it's no really his natural position. At times though, he doesn't help himself though, does he, Troops? He doesn't. There was times where he was drifting all the way back to the left back position. Like, what are you doing, Gary? Like, get on your bike, lead the line. Like, aye, Ross McKeever isn't playing on the shoulder and he's dropping back a wee bit, but he's not going back into left back. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need you up top, linking the play that way. Don't know what he was playing at in that instance, but that was just one thing that popped into my mind. But we also made some subs eventually. I think it was McKenna and Shanley and Aguiman came on as well, and Shanley gets this really, really good opportunity where we break, and I think it's like a 3-on-2 situation here, but he slows the ball down, and I don't know why he does that. He's got options on either side of him, and he kind of slows down. I don't know if he's maybe waiting on... Finn Yates comes on as well. I don't know if he was maybe waiting on him. He then gets another chance inside the box. It's maybe about 10 yards out or so, and he blazes over as well. With Ryan Shanley, I do feel for the boy. I do. Because, again, if we go back to the whole striker argument about who should play up top, I feel like he's almost been forgotten. And it kind of feels that way even with McGlynn as well, because when he's coming on, he's not getting very long to make an impression. He's getting sometimes less than 10 minutes on the park. Bear in mind that we're playing somebody out of position up top, and he is an out-and-out striker. It just feels like that game against Steny is almost like made everybody's mind up, and I feel for him. I really do. Because the thing is that's got to be playing on his mind, because when he comes on, I feel like he's maybe trying too hard and he's overthinking things, and he's no being. You can see the guy's no confident. I heard the song that I think it was Kieran Kuhn had devised up or whatever. That was for Shanley. Now this is what. I just want to take a minute to just praise the support in general. This is what being a supporter is all about. It's not about singing songs about folk that are on fire and scoring all the goals. You see a guy that you know is lacking in confidence and maybe just needs picked up a wee bit. That's what it's all about. I remember last season as well, and this is one of the things that really, really, really solidified me wanting to support this team going forward for good. Was when funnily enough, it was at New Douglas Park as well, actually, when we were looking a bit ropey and Hogarth made a mistake. There was like a back pass and he kind of fluffed it. He made an arse of it. But if I recall, we didn't concede at that moment. But I remember looking around thinking, oh geez, like, because with the team I used to watch, player made a mistake, fans were on them instantly, shouting abuse, moaning and groaning, to the point where the players just not even wanting the ball. Because why would you? Every time you do something, everybody's like sharp intake of breath and that. But anyway, with Hogarth, he makes a mistake, and the first thing that happens is that the fans all galvanise round him and start chanting and giving him support and that. That's what it's all about. Because these are our players. It's about... There's no other way of saying it. It's about being a supporter, isn't it? Like, it's no rocket science. So I'm here for that. Love that. Sing songs for guys that really do need a bit of a pick up. I hope that Shanley does get another opportunity. I would be the first one to say that I hope he manages to get a goal, because although he's been here a wee while now, I don't really think he's announced himself. He's had a couple of goals, aye, but has he had a pick-out performance? Has he had a statement performance? Nah, I don't think he has. And I still feel like there's time, but there is going to be a point where folk will have just made up their minds, and there's nothing that can change that. And you all know that as well. You sit in the stands, you'll have folk sitting around you and behind you and that shout abuse about specific players, no matter what they do, nothing they can do is right. I just don't want to see that happen to the boy because he made an absolute arse of a penalty against Stennismuir in a cup that we don't really care about. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. So, game ends 3-1. 3 points, job done, up the road. And like I said at the start of the video, it gives us a really, really good platform to really kick on here. Because like I said, we've got 3 home games on the trot against teams that we are better than. And if we play better than these teams, we will beat them. And that, again, that's no arrogance, that's confidence. We've got nothing to fear against the likes of Dunfermline, Airdrie and Morton. We can absolutely beat all 3 of these teams. And if we're talking about a team getting a hammering, one of the 3 of these teams will get a hammering. If not all of them, at least one of them will. And I think you might see a 3-4 goal win margin in one of these games. Don't ask me what one it's going to be, but I know it's going to be at least one of them. I hope it's against Dunfermline, just for the lols of it. Before I move on, just one thing I wanted to say as well was, did any of you listen to John Rankin's post-match interview? That was interesting, where he said that penalty that was awarded was dubious.
You serious?
Don't know what he was smoking. He must be smoking some heavy doobies, by the way, because it's as blatant apparently as you'll ever see. That's just all I wanted to say on that. So that's really all I've got to say about the game. Other than just want to pick out some standout performances. Ethan Ross, good as always. He didn't score in that game, but he just looks so dangerous. Something that even last season, when he maybe wasn't like the star man, something that we all recognised was Ethan Ross is so direct. He gave us a completely different option to the likes of Calvin Miller, who is really more of an old school winger that wants to hit the byline and hit crosses. Ethan Ross is more interested in getting into the box, and we can see why, because he's a good finisher as well. So he had a good game. Calvin Miller, he's been iffy on the right hand side. He's kind of been up and down. You can see that he's not that comfortable playing on the right hand side, but I thought that performance was really, really good. That was up there. He gave the left back Longridge an absolute roasting in that first 45 minutes, and he cuts in onto his left and scores a goal as well. That's what we need. We need to be causing threats from all angles. It's so difficult to defend against, whereas when you're just playing on the wing, you're just going to the byline hitting crosses all the time, it ends up becoming a wee bit one-dimensional. It can be a bit predictable, whereas if he's going to do that, or is he going to chop back, is he going to cut in, that's where you can turn defenders inside out, you can cause them to panic, you can buy penalties, all of the above. So Calvin Miller had a good game. I've already spoken about Aidan Nisbet. Big fan of him. What an engine that boy has. Tate was good as well, but the praise I want to give is for Brad Spencer. I feel like I say it in every single video at this point. I adore Brad Spencer. I feel like now, I'm not a lifelong supporter like the majority of yous watching this video will be, so please do tell me if I'm getting this wrong here. But when was the last time Falkirk had a midfielder that was better than Brad Spencer? Brad Spencer is not a championship level midfielder. I don't know how he's playing with us. The boy is just class personified. What I love most about Brad Spencer is just how much of a team player he is. Now, because he probably is my favourite player on the team, and use a lot of do this too, where you'll pick out your favourite player and you'll really hyper focus and you'll specifically watch what they do on the park. So I like to watch what Brad Spencer does during a game, and honestly, so much of what he does is unappreciated, but he's got such a good understanding of the game. See the amount of times where one of our players makes a mistake, the first person onto it is always Brad Spencer. Go and think in your heads. Go back and think of mistakes where Luke Graham's got caught out, or Tate's been caught out, or somebody else. Who is it that mops it up? Every single time it's Brad Spencer. He's the one that's there. Similarly, if a teammate's under pressure and they've got two guys around them and they're being pressed and they've just got to look around anywhere to find somebody to pass the ball to, who's there? Brad Spencer. Every single time. He is always available for a pass and he bails out his teammates every single time we make any kind of mistake. See the amount of goals we would have conceded, by the way, if it wasn't for Brad Spencer. I'm going to be bold here and I'm going to say that he's on his way. And again, we are early in the season here, but if he can maintain this level of consistency, I could see him winning Player of the Year for us easily. That's how good a season he's having. He just doesn't make any mistakes. The guy's just different gravy. I'm genuinely worried at this point about the January transfer window opening, because surely to God teams in the Scottish Premiership are going to be looking at him and thinking he's got to be Premiership made already. He's something else, man. Only other thing I want to do is just praise Nicky Hogarth as well. Couple of good saves, and something we've already spoken about as well is how good is his distribution these days. He's come on so much over the last year. Like I mentioned, when he was looking ropey at New Douglas Park last season, it was a back pass where he flapped at it that caused the mistake in the first place. I feel like the Hogarth of this season is just handling these back passes so much better. He looks like he's full of confidence and he's playing so well, and he might be another one that we might be worried about being able to keep a hold of if he keeps going the way he is. He's having a really good season as well. But that's all I've got to say about this game. Delighted to get the 3 points, and like I said, puts us in a fantastic position for the 3 home games coming up, starting with the Fifers on Saturday. So I will be back on Thursday evening to talk about that. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. Really appreciate your support, and if you haven't already, please do like the video, comment as well, and if you could possibly subscribe and then even just share it with any other like-minded supporters that maybe not aware of the channel yet, be greatly appreciated. Well, thank you all so much for watching, and mon the Bairns.